it's a joint effort, right? It's the effort of you paired with the practitioner and being really open and willing to do what needs to be done, to look where things need to be, looked at, and then kind of form a team, if you will. I think it's super important to have that, and that's something that I did not have and would have loved to have is, kind of someone to help guide the process and to have like on my team. And so that's really something that I love to be able to give to clients, is to hopefully have them feel like they have someone that's on their team and they're in this together and going on this journey with them together. Fault is that because of all that I've studied and all I know about the body and have experienced myself, I can't help but notice, these tiny little red flags for people, and that could become issues with their health and well-being in the future. And like I kind of just laser in on those and can't unsee that because of my experience. And it's so much of what people I think would consider normal, or it's no big deal. And then it becomes a big deal eventually in the future. And so, my passion is to prevent that from happening for people, or if it has happened, to start to unwind it, unwind the dysfunction and restore function back in their body. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Sara, and this is my dear husband, Bijan, and I thought it would be really fun for us to sit down and have a conversation about what it is that I do, a little bit about my story and what brought me on this path. Because I think, I share on social media, but it's a little bit challenging to get across all that I would really like to say and be able to explain. So I thought this might be a little more fun to just sit down and have what is like a conversation.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Excited. I think it's important to look at, it's amazing how many different things you're doing and how this all connects. And I have to say, I never met a person who's so good in connecting the dots health-wise. And that means so you have so many profound backgrounds, where you can pull from, and so much experience also through your own personal health journey, where I never saw someone is so good in really getting this big picture and guiding people through their struggles. Do you want to explain a little bit? Maybe we start on what you're doing exactly right now. So maybe start with this a bit.
Sure. So to simplify, because I think we'll get into all the little, the nitty-gritty of it in a little bit, but overall, my focus and really kind of passion is around the physical body and people's health and well-being, while also pulling in other aspects of it, like mental and emotional as well, because they're all interconnected. So, but primarily focusing on people's physical health and well-being. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to share a little bit about your personal story? There are different aspects. There's the aspect of all your professional work. I'm pretty sure people can look this up on your website, all the degrees you have, all the certificates you collected over the years. It's a crazy list. And then there's this work experiences you have on a practical side. So you did so many different things. But I think the most interesting part is the part of your backstory and also your personal struggles with your health, and how this brought you to the place where you're right now, and where you're able to know so many different forms of therapies and health methods. And so maybe you want to share a little bit about this with you.
Yeah, I think, for me, my work, if you will, and also my passion and kind of life have always been just kind of one and the same. So I feel like I've been very fortunate because I think I was just kind of born with this passion for health and well-being and the body and learning about it. And while at the same time, I have struggled a lot with my physical health, despite being what I would consider quite healthy and, aware of what it takes to be healthy, but still really struggled with my physical health. So I think that's why I'm so passionate about health for everybody. Giving people the tools that they need to really take control of their health and be empowered by their own health. Because I know the impact it can have on people's quality of life and their relationships and things like that.
Can you unpack a little bit more in detail for our listeners? What is it exactly what you do and what you're offering right now?
Sure, of course. So there's a few different things that I offer in different ways that I can work with people. So there is something that's called Bioresonance Scan or bioenergetic test. And so that is just a way to look deeper into what's going on with the body as a whole. So we look at different systems, organs, glands, things like that, and then also different stressors on the body. So environmental stressors, food stressors, different pathogens, toxins, things like that, and can identify the best way to address it, the best remedies for people. And then there's also something that I do that's called a mind, body, spirit release, which is becoming more well known for sure, but I would assume that a lot of people have no clue what it is. And so that is using the body's intelligence. So through something called muscle testing, we can identify what emotions, what energy is stuck in the body that needs to be cleared. And these can be stuck in different organs, different systems, glands, things like that. I think this is something that can be a little tricky to explain if you've never experienced it, but same with muscle testing. If you haven't experienced it, it's a little hard to grasp, and it'd be very easy to be quite skeptical, as I know that you have been. But what I love about it is that once you experience it for yourself, it speaks for itself, and there's just this deep kind of resonance and truth to it. So so mind, body, spirit release is just a really great way to shift certain patterns and behaviors, whether it's also associated with the physical or just mental, emotional well-being as well. Then I do offer just flat out muscle testing to figure out what is going on with your body, the best way to address it. So those are kind of like the three primary ways that I work with people, but then I also have additional things as well, that kind of offshoots of that. And then I will be adding a few more different modalities to this in the next coming months.
Yeah, may I add a little bit here?
Yes,
to give a bit more context? Yeah, so for all people out there who are a little bit like me, so I'm a very structured, logical person, and I just believed in science and just scientifical things. And like, as we met like 2 to 3 years ago, I was very skeptical. I thought she's a bit crazy eventually, but I have to say, like, try to stay open-minded. It's after knowing you better, after experiencing it in my own, it was really amazing. So I have more background in psychology and coaching, and it was so amazing to see how you get to the root of what is going on there in myself. And I did a couple of sessions and with you, and yeah, I was basically like an open book for you, where maybe I need 5 or 10 sessions with a client to get there. You get there in half an hour or something. It's really incredible. So yeah, for all people, they don't have that much experience with these things. As a very structured and logical person, I can say, try to stay open-minded. It's definitely worth to try it, and it's really incredible how you can get results and get shortcuts. And I think the reason you explored all these things is that you got stuck with normal medicine in your own path as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So my path has evolved a lot from where I started, and it will always continue to. But I did start on a more, I guess, traditional path, going to the university, studying exercise science and nutrition, so diving deep into the science. And then even went to grad school and got a dual master's degree in exercise physiology and nutrition. And it was during that time that I started to develop certain symptoms where I felt like something wasn't right. And so I started having to look for answers and just really came up empty-handed and would go to doctor and just with zero answers. And so I had to keep digging and keep looking. And so that's kind of how my journey has taken a turn from kind of very traditional, studies in the university and college, and to where it is now, which I would say is more of like the energetic realm, which we can say is like woo-woo or whatever you might say, but actually it is very, it is founded in scientific principles. It's just a portion of science that has not been studied as much. And so we are working our way there. But I think it's one of the most effective ways to get information from the body. I experienced it for myself probably 12 plus years ago. And that was when my health started to turn a corner and I started to get answers and started to feel consistently better. So that's kind of what took me on the path that I'm on now. And I can't imagine working any other way with clients, and I definitely can't imagine where I would be with my own health and well-being if I didn't have these tools.
Yeah. That's really incredible. And a part of your work is still also around Pilates, isn't it? So you I think you offer mentorship in different, or what is it there exactly?
Yeah, so I started my work with the very physical aspects of the body and movement, and that will always be just like an innate part of what I do, is understanding the body, how it moves. And Pilates is, I think, just such a strong piece of me that it will always be a part of what I do. So I've taught Pilates teacher trainings for many years, and that is another passion of mine that I just really love. And so along with that, I then mentor Pilates instructors or Pilates students looking to be instructors. So that is something else that I currently do as well.
Mm-hmm. How long ago did you start Pilates?
Let's see.
I know it.
I
think it was, you told me 2002. Is it accurate?
That's good. So I would say teaching, you mean?
No, I meant now practicing on your own. I think, I don't know, both, maybe both.
I think I first experienced Pilates in like high school or even earlier, same with yoga. And then
when was it? Which year?
2000 is when I finished high school, so before that. And then
wow, so it's over 20 years.
Yeah, and I've been teaching since 2002, 2001.
Also over 20 years of teaching experience. That's a long time. Wow.
That's how my passion for the body started, really.
And you did not just this, you also did like what else in the fitness realm? So like you taught a lot of different...
I taught many forms of fitness classes, was a personal trainer, managed different fitness departments, have worked at weight loss spas, taught university exercise science courses, all the things.
Very impressive. And you also, at one point, you started your business also with nutritional advice for people. Is that right?
Yeah, so I started that, I think, right after grad school. So that was 2007, 2008 is when I started with that. And I remember, even though I had a master's degree in nutrition, I remember feeling like there's something that's missing. Very strongly. Like I didn't feel like I had what I needed to just tell people what to eat. I just felt like there was something that was missing. And that was around the same time that my health started to change. And I was developing a lot of health, symptoms and things like that. And so then I discovered something called metabolic typing and functional diagnostic nutrition. And so that kind of opened another door to see each person as an individual, and what each person needs is very unique. And so that took me on that path. And then after a while with that, I was like, there's still something missing, because even though we're still looking at each individual, I still really wasn't sure if that was going to work for them or not, like this certain protocol or whatever. And then as I continued on my own health journey, this is when I discovered muscle testing or applied kinesiology, and started doing that for my own health, and was just blown away at the information that you could receive from that. And so then I got into studying that myself and started to learn how to do muscle testing and energetic testing, and started to add that into the work that I do, because I really felt like that was the missing link, is to figure out what each person's body specifically needed, because it is very different what people's bodies need, and also what they're ready to address as well. So
what were, at the beginning of this journey, what were normal doctors offering you? Like, what were the options here?
Yeah, so let's see. I think I saw a rheumatologist, and he diagnosed me with an undifferentiated connective tissue disease. So that's an autoimmune disease, basically saying it's not lupus, it's close to lupus, but it's not. We don't know what causes it. We don't know how to treat it. You could take this medication that was designed for, I think, malaria or something else. It might damage your eyesight. It might help, it might not. Here you go. And I said, no, thank you. And at this time I had been working, with my diet and metabolic typing, and noticed some changes. And so the doctor at that time said, okay, just keep doing what you're doing then. And that was it, at least in that instance. There's been many others, but I think that was, the main one.
So basically you didn't get answers there, and they didn't know what to do, basically.
And I think that's, that's where it's really helpful to know where to find the right resources. So maybe a rheumatologist is really helpful for someone, right? And can give them maybe the answers they're looking for. And for someone like me, it was not helpful. And I can't imagine where I would be now if I didn't have the tools that I had available to me, and didn't have the passion and drive to search for more. I can't imagine how I don't think I'd be able to get out of bed, to be honest. So I think it's really important to understand what resources are out there, what techniques, what methods, what practitioners, and what is going to work best for you. Yeah,
that's a very interesting journey. And still, I think on this journey, I just saw a very tiny fraction of it going with you on this path. But even in these 2 years, I made a list. I can't list it all off, what kind of different healing methods and therapy methods you tried, so it seems like there was no one they could guide you, kind of giving you the right guidance to go in the right direction. So kind of you had to find the things on your own, and to connect the dots on your own.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely did. I was open to receiving answers from other people and doctors, and it just wasn't there. And so thank goodness, my passion overlapped my career, which overlaps with my health issues. So they all kind of went together. So I kept digging and kept searching, and, it was not a straight path by any means. Every day I'm still learning and exploring and gaining new insight and new tools. So it has been quite a journey of kind of following the path that has been laid out before me, that I think has benefited my own personal health, but I think it's also had a very strong purpose to give me tools to help work with other people as well, which has been very important.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to give you a little bit more detailed perspective, I made a list because I can't remember all these. I made a list of the different things you're working with and you have practitioners around, because and this list I'm pretty sure is not complete, but just to give you more details here, like physical therapy, osteopathy, naturopathy, functional medicine, homeopathy, applied kinesiology, acupuncture, Chinese medicine, chiropractor, craniosacral therapy, massage therapy, herbal medicine, biofeedback, biomagnetic therapy, iridiology, Reiki, bioresonance diagnostics. And I'm pretty sure I forgot a couple of things on this list. So this is a part of different methodologies you tried on your path, on this journey. So what is your experience working with all these different practitioners?
Yeah, I think there really wasn't anything that I wasn't willing to do for my own health and to find answers. And I felt like each modality that I used, I would gain something from. I didn't feel like any of them had all the answers I was looking for. And so instead, I would take what I needed at that time and then kind of add on and kind of piece together what it is that I need and that I needed. And still to this day, I do that. And so I energetically test to see, like, for, this certain issue or this certain symptom, what is the best way to address it. And then it's a lot more effective, learning when to use what type of modality.
And I think that's also the reason why you're so good in guiding other people and helping them figuring out how to bring together, or how to decide where to go. Like there's so many options.
I think, professionally, I have studied quite a few different things. And then also personally, I've experienced many, 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 many different things. And so I like to bring all of that into the work that I do with clients. And so that we're looking in every little corner, every little aspect, but we're not looking through a narrow lens according to just one type of method. I'm really trying to pull from many different things and looking in every little corner, under every stone, to see what the right path is for each person.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it doesn't mean you have to have all the answers, but I think you're very, very good in supporting and guiding people kind of the right path.
Yeah, and I think it's important for all of us to understand that it's not one practitioner that's going to fix you, right? It's a joint effort, right? It's the effort of you paired with the practitioner and being really open and willing to do what needs to be done, to look where things need to be, looked at, and then kind of form a team, if you will. I think it's super important to have that, and that's something that I did not have and would have loved to have, is kind of someone to help guide the process and to have on my team. And so that's really something that I love to be able to give to clients, is to hopefully have them feel like they have someone that's on their team and they're in this together and going on this journey with them together.
Mm-hmm. As you mentioned it, so how important is the client, and maybe also the mental side of the client in this process of healing, in this process of finding answers? Mm-hmm. So can you, your perspective?
Yeah, I think they really have to be on board. And also I think I'm going to generalize here, but as a society have this expectation that healing should be simple. It should be, take this one medication, do this one thing, and then I will be fixed. And, true healing is so multifaceted, and there's so much that's pulled into it, and it's really like a great chance for each person to not only heal, but just to experience life on a totally different level. And so I think, you know, when you come into this work as a client, it's really helpful, and you will get more results if you are very open and willing to explore and to understand that it's not always a very direct, straight line, and it's not always a very simple answer, but may take a little bit of exploring and may take a little bit of time. Yeah, but it's totally worth it.
Mm-hmm. So did I hear it right that commitment is very important in this process as well?
Definitely. And I would also say that I think some people, commitment can be a struggle if they don't really know what it is they're working towards or moving towards. And I think also some people have not, I think many people have not experienced true health and well-being. And so they don't have like a reference point of like where they're moving towards. So it's easy to lose motivation or just not be able to even see like what is possible, what is, you know, beyond where they are now. And so there are tools to help, you know, mind, body, spirit release. MBSR is really, 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 really great for that. If there are any issues with dedication, motivation, you know, and things like that, kind of getting out of our own ways and clearing our blind spots that might be getting on our way. So
yeah. Who is your work for? So what's your clients look like?
Well, I would say first, anyone that is called to this, that is interested in it, that wants and desires to live kind of an optimal state of health and well-being, and therefore life. So I think a lot of times we think, oh, if I don't have symptoms, or what I consider, you know, symptoms, I think actually probably everyone has symptoms, but we consider it to be normal. So I think a lot of people just think that they don't need to address their health until something goes wrong. And that's, again, part of the flaw, I think, in the way we view health as a society today, is that if there's nothing currently, like if I don't have a diagnosis or a disease, then I don't really, you know, I'm healthy, right?
If nothing's aching, then I'm fine.
Yeah, like, or even if something's aching, I'm fine. People think, you know, it's just normal. It's how I've always been. And so I think, of course, you know, my work is definitely for the people that have been searching for answers and haven't found them, or are just new on this journey where they know something's off and they need to address it, definitely. But also this work is very much for the people that have a desire to take care of themselves and to evolve as a human being, because I think that's in general better. You have a better quality of life, better quality of relationships. You know, it's better for the planet, I think, and just society as a whole. And so I think anyone that's just desiring to learn more about themselves, grow as a person, and then also just go into aging with a different mentality, right? I think aging is so often built up of chronic dysfunction over time that eventually catches up with us. And so, you know, it's never too early to start this type of work. You know, imagine the quality of life you can have if you start now. And that's, I think, why I'm so passionate about this, is seeing the health issues I went through being a healthy person. You know, I can't imagine living my life in that way. And I think so many of us get to a certain age and just think that dysfunction is normal, and it doesn't have to be that way. So I think, you know, anyone that has a desire to learn and grow and evolve, this work can do that. But also for those of you that have been stuck on your healing journey, you know, this is a great place to come to.
Mm-hmm. I can add a little bit to the story. So before we met, I thought I'm the healthiest person on earth. So I had no symptoms, nothing, never saw a doctor before, everything's great. But yeah, then working with you, we figured out there are probably some layers underneath, where some digestion is not ideal, where some things are going wrong. And yeah, thankfully we addressed this together, and you helped me addressing these things. Yeah, so also for me, it was a very interesting experience to, from a point where I was totally blind to some things that are going on beneath the surface. And then through your experience and your work, you helped me, yeah, figuring things out. And yeah, I'm pretty sure the benefits are huge for me looking 10, 20, 30 years in the future. Yeah,
I would
glad
say
about
that,
that.
yes.
So I'm very lucky that I'm married to you, but
So lucky.
yeah, but I think it's a great example. Like, even if you're super healthy and you think everything's all right, it can be worthwhile to work with you anyway.
Yeah, I think also maybe to a fault is that because of all that I've studied and all I know about the body and have experienced myself, I can't help but notice, these tiny little red flags for people, and that could become issues with their health and well-being in the future. And like I kind of just laser in on those and can't unsee that because of my experience. And it's so much of what people I think would consider normal, or it's no big deal. And then it becomes a big deal eventually in the future. And so, my passion is to prevent that from happening for people, or if it has happened, to start to unwind it, unwind the dysfunction and restore function back in their body.
It's not only the health aspect. So the amazing thing is that you also picking up on emotional things.
Yeah.
So even if you think you're healthy on the physical level, so who of us hasn't some emotional trauma, some things from the past, which maybe also is stuck in the body? So that's also part of your work, looking also in the emotional part.
Yeah, for sure. Your body is so good at holding on to emotions, especially things that have not been able to be fully processed at the time. Or even if you feel like they were fully processed, our body is really good at remembering things and holding on to things. And so, pinpointing that through things like mind, body, spirit release can be really helpful. And then also, I think something that's really fascinating that I'm sure you guys will start to hear more about, even in like the mainstream as well, is that not only, do we get like genetics and stuff with our physical being, but we also inherit certain energetic patterns or stuck emotions and things from, our lineage. And so that is a super fascinating thing to consider, and also really can help people make sense of things that they experience in their life, and maybe things that they would like to start to shift that maybe they haven't been able to shift before, or maybe just had never even considered could be different. So it's also looking at like those patterns as well, which I know can seem kind of far out there for many people. But again, it's one of those things that as you start to explore it, it just makes sense and it hits home, and it's really hard to, I think, argue with that.
Mm-hmm. I think this is also, like in the scientific world, pretty much consensus on that, like genetically you inherit there can be whatever it is, there can be trauma, there can be so many things that can be passed on to us from our parents and their parents. So yeah, that's definitely a very fascinating aspect of your work as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I know you were excited to talk about parasites, I guess.
Yeah, of course. I mean, who's not?
So I think all of your health issues kind of, there was a point where everything kind of shifted. You want to?
Yeah, so I would say there was a point where everything came crashing down and then a point where everything shifted. And so, I had these health issues that had popped up, I don't know, maybe 15, 13 years ago at this point, and started exploring and addressing them, and was able to manage and even like reverse most symptoms and live a pretty great life, with certain symptoms every now and then kind of popping back in and still feeling like something wasn't quite right or something was still under the surface. And so, a couple years ago, I had experienced a lot of different stressful things, some trauma, car accident, things like that. Also physical illness, and things just, I think, came to a head and kind of ignited some of the stressors that had been lurking underneath the surface that I had been able to manage up until that point. And so it took me back on the journey of like, what is really going on here? And so I had known that I had parasites, I think in 2008. I did a test when I was learning functional diagnostic nutrition. Was it 2009 maybe, 2010? And then addressed it slightly. However, my symptoms would get worse and worse and just flare so bad that I couldn't address it too deeply. And then also started addressing it through applied kinesiology and things like that, to a point where it seemed to be like manageable. But never went through like a whole parasite cleanse. And so thank goodness for a company called Cellcore, which I'm a practitioner for. Their products have completely changed my life and my body's ability to heal. So this is the first time I've been able to address parasites full on, along with heavy metal toxicity, Lyme disease, co-infections, things like that, which I had not really been able to touch before because there just weren't the right products that had worked for me, or right ways to address it so I could manage it so that symptoms didn't flare, so that I didn't get reactivation of some things. So yeah, discovering Cellcore and their products allowed me to go on a massive parasite cleanse journey that has been a year long, like kind of 6 months of, moderate, and then 6 months of like, holy crap, like massive parasites. Where are these things coming from? And it's important to remember that, parasites hold 6 to 8 times their body weight in toxicity. And so these things are polluting you and keeping you ill. And they were definitely keeping me ill. And symptoms that I had, for 12 years are gone now after getting rid of those, like nervous system buzzing and hypersensitivity and things like that. And so the more and more I've studied about parasites and just how important it is in fully healing, has made me really, passionate about it, and it's changed my health. And it's definitely something that I add in for people when they're ready. Again, it's something that I don't recommend that you just do any parasite cleanse at any point in time, because your body has to be ready for it in order for it to be successful and for you to feel okay while you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So just to make it for the listeners who are not so familiar, so parasites are living creatures in our bodies who like
survive because of us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're their host.
Yeah.
And mind, body, spirit release is actually also a very good way to help prep the body to release these, because also emotionally and energetically, your body can like allow these things to stay, which can sound crazy. Of course.
So basically we all have parasites, or?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So everybody
so there are living beings in us. If it's bacteria or other things that there are, but there are also more like severe forms of.
Yeah. And it just depends on how good your body is at, fighting them off. And it's okay to have some. They can have some benefit, with kind of holding and absorbing the toxicity. However, it's all dependent on the load that is appropriate for each person and the level of toxicity. And as you lower your toxic exposure and toxicity and improve your immune system and your digestive function, then the less likely you are to have parasites that will stick around. They will exit.
Mm-hmm. So that's another interesting example of what can be the root cause of different symptoms. Which you find out in your case, and thankfully found another level of healing through this.
Definitely. Yeah, I had been experiencing this like buzzing in my spine, like a nervous system buzzing, and also like some brain stuff. And it would get worse if I would exercise, even like very low intensity. It would get worse if I didn't sleep enough or was very busy or worked too much. And I would just be like buzzing. And I was like, something is not right. And nobody could figure it out. Like I saw so many practitioners, people say, well, take B12, this will do it, do this. And nothing touched it. And so I, had the insight that I was like, there's got to be some type of pathogen or infection or something that's causing this. But it was pretty fascinating to see that literally after like one of the first like massive, like I think things of like biofilm that contains different, parasites, bacteria, viruses, things like that left my body. Immediately after that, the nervous system buzzing stopped, and I haven't experienced it since. And that blew me away. Like that was crazy to me. Yeah.
And this probably also shows maybe in some cases it's not enough to just look on an energetic level. Probably a practitioner who just works energetically wouldn't be able to help you release this on a physical level. So that's maybe also interesting that you looked in all different aspects of it.
I think it depends on how you are using the term energetic. So, you can use energetics to identify that the parasites are there and how they're ready to be addressed and, things like that, or adjust it through something like mind, body, spirit release and emotional stuff. But I know personally for me, with what I was going through physically and the level of toxicity and dysfunction I had to address it physically and get it physically out. And doing the emotional work and like energetic clearing alongside of it was very helpful because, as you're clearing toxicity and these parasites, like they have their own energetic field, they have their own imprints of, emotional things that may or may not be yours. Certain stuck emotions, things like that you're also clearing, and often you will feel it. So it's really beneficial to have a tool like mind, body, spirit release alongside it, so that you're helping the body to clear these things energetically as you're clearing physically. And for some people, maybe they do have like a physical hold on something, and they need to address the physical part to then have to address the emotional part to then have the physical release. And some people it's opposite. They need to address the physical to get the energy in their body to move and address the emotions and things like that. So I don't think you can say that there's one way that's best for everyone, which you will see out there in this world and in this work, as a lot of people will say it has to be this way, or the only way you can address this is through addressing the energy or the nervous system or whatever. But I really think that each person's path is, a little bit unique for sure. And each thing has its place. It's just finding out the right combination for you. But for me, which is why I'm so passionate about the physical, is like the physical detoxing and healing and repair has been so beneficial to me. And I notice instantly when my physical body changes, like I feel like a different person mentally and emotionally. And so I've never had that, working on the other things like so significantly as I have working on the physical. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you want to talk a little bit about Bioresonance Scan and how you use it to maybe get an overview over clients' health?
Yeah, bioresonance scans are, I think, one of my favorite tools for sure. It gives you so many answers with really little effort. It's a non-invasive test, so you're giving just a teeny tiny bit, like a teaspoon of hair and some saliva, and even you can use your nails if you don't have that much hair. And they basically are measuring the energy of different things. So everything has its own energy, its own frequency. And so they're testing that energy against your body and seeing what resonates. And so you can tell energetically what toxins, pathogens, parasites, viruses, molds, things like that are there, what foods or environmental things are stressors for your body, how the systems are working, what systems are under stress, what organs are under stress, what are your hormones doing, what are the minerals and vitamins doing, and amino acids and fatty acids. So you have all of these things that can be measured in just one shot. And it gives you a really big, full picture where you can see the interconnectedness of all things and how everything is being impacted and why. And then what's really cool is that you can test energetically what supplements. It could be herbal remedies, it could be nutritional, it can be homeopathic, seeing what resonates for that person and brings that person's body back into harmony or resonance, in a healthy frequency, basically. So they're measuring different remedies to see what does the body respond to on a frequency level, and what combination of these remedies are the best combination together, which is often not thought about and missed. And so I really love that because, again, it's a very individualized approach, and you could have two people with identical results, on their bioresonance scan, but their remedies that they need would be totally different because they are very different energetic beings, and what they, each person needs to heal is very different.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Should we wrap it up from here?
Mm-hmm.
Or is anything else you want to?
Let's chat a bit about the difference between bioresonance scan, mind, body, spirit release, and then the option of doing just muscle testing.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I call it muscle testing for simplicity's sake, and because I think a lot of people are becoming more familiar with muscle testing, but it's also a form of like energetic testing, bioenergetic testing. It can be done from anywhere, and it is something that I have been doing for probably 12 years myself, but then as a practitioner about 9 years. And yeah, you can do it from anywhere. So it's tuning into each person's nervous system, energetic field, and body, and getting answers from that. And so what is different about this than maybe bioresonance scan is this is a good thing to use when maybe we want to look at like what is the best modality to use, what is the best, like we want to piece together kind of our own thing of what we're looking at. So maybe you have an idea, like, right, what's going on in your body. And so now we need to look at how best to address it. What's the best way to go about it? What things will help you shift the most? It can be quite personalized. We can get into emotional, mental, and physical things, and make it very specific to each person. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. And I want to add as well, like, also I have been, like I mentioned before, skeptical about these things before, yeah. But experiencing them on my own and you practicing with me was a really mind-blowing experience. So for all listeners out there who are a little bit skeptical right now, I totally get it. I'm kind of the same, but I have to say it's really worth trying it. You can't lose anything, but so at the beginning I couldn't believe it, but then I know from psychology, I know a lot of practitioners who also working with muscle testing and helping clients very rapidly to get to the root cause of things. So I had some in the past some connections to these things, but I never experience it in the way you use it, and it's really incredible to see how you can basically help clients to get results and finding the root causes of issues that are there. It's, so stay open-minded, it's really worth it, and it's really incredible what you're doing there.
Thank you.
I also know that you, one big part also of people you work with is a topic around fertility. So I think a long time you're working also with clients about that. You want to share a little bit about this topic?
Yeah, so this has evolved into a passion of mine as well, that, I'm still exploring, but I think there's many different aspects to this. So people that are preparing for their fertility journey, there's many ways to address it, right? And so I have just seen such a strong need for addressing, the physical health of, of the woman before she goes on this journey. It's so important, especially these days where we are exposed to toxins all over the place, whether we like it or not, and that's just growing every day. And so women really need to, will have the opportunity to, improve their health as much as possible, so that their child has the most optimal health possible. And it's just so fascinating to me just how much, work we can do on ourselves to help then our children. And so you can adjust that physically, so through, prepping your body physically, but then also mentally and emotionally. And so things like mind, body, spirit release are really, really excellent to use for, women, even men in partnerships, to prepare mentally and emotionally for this fertility journey, for being parents, to help maybe clear fears that you have, or patterns that may be passed down from generation to generation that you want to make sure you don't carry into your family. MBSR, mind, body, spirit release, is so potent for that and so important. And then, working on the physical, just not only makes the pregnancy more pleasant and hopefully birth more pleasant, but it's just, you're going to recover a lot quicker as a woman, after giving birth, and how you feel afterwards, and then also the health of your child. I just really think that, the health of our children really needs to be addressed as we continue in this world. And the best way to start that is by looking at our own health, because, we can pass on that toxicity even if we don't know that we have it. But that does get transferred on, and you can actually pass parasites in utero, and there's all sorts of things. So I just think it's a really great opportunity for women to address their own health and well-being before going on this journey of fertility, if that if that resonates for them.
Interesting. Okay, a little outro for the video. We dance and laugh. So where can people find you?
So I hang out, I would say, the most on Instagram at A Freedom Filled Life, and also my website, saragrout.com, Sara without an H.
Go check it out. There's a lot of more information there about your work and about your story, and anything else you want to add?
No, I would just say, any questions, thoughts, whatever, feel free to reach out and we can have a chat, if there's anything that you're just a little bit curious about.
Awesome. And thank you for your time all out there. We really appreciate it. And I hope this gave you a little bit more insights. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I would say that... Do you want to pause it?
Yeah. Sorry. You gained through this. You just... I'm sorry.
No. Doesn't have to be complex. Just quick and easy. Don't allow...
Sorry.
No.
Some laughter. Always good.
No, no.
Okay, sorry.
One thing at a time. No, I don't. It's not. It's missing something. It's not right.
Okay.
Like, I think you did it better the first time.
Okay. Just start it.
This is not going well.
It was perfect.
No, it wasn't. It was
Until
stumbling and blah, blah, blah.
Nice, amazing. So, hi everyone.
No, don't start yet. I was still going like this.
Okay. Oh, you want to start with hi?
No, you can start.
Okay. And then you jump in. So I
maybe
just
I
say
should
hi
start.
and then you, yeah.
Are you asking me where I want to start?
Yeah.
No.
Explore or like,
No, I don't.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
Way of. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Yeah, like, hi.
Okay, again. Well done.
Thanks.